This is the story of Sade Carlee Robinson, a young 19-year-old girl. On that early morning, what happened with Sade Carlee Robinson? Let's see what went with her on that day. Within hours, Milwaukee police swarm the park. The scene is cordoned off, officers whispering, radios crackling. The limb is carefully bagged and rushed to the lab. DNA testing begins immediately. 3 days earlier, a mother called 911. "My daughter is missing." 19-year-old Sade Carlee Robinson was last seen leaving for a date. She promised to text when she got home. She never did. Calls went straight to voicemail. Then silence. Her friends retraced her steps. Do like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel. They checked her usual hangouts. No sign of her. Just gone. Now detectives wait as the results come in. The lead investigator reads the report, jaw tightening. It's her. The reality settles in. This isn't just a missing persons case anymore. This is a homicide. And where there's one body part, there are more. The question burns through the team's minds. Where is the rest of her? And even worse, who did this to her? Somewhere in Milwaukee, a killer walks free. Watching. Waiting. This is just the beginning. Sade Carlee Robinson was full of life. 19, ambitious, balancing college classes with a job at a local pizza shop. She was the kind of person who lit up a room. But on April 1st, she vanished. Her friends remembered her excitement that night. She had a date, her first with Maxwell Anderson, a 33-year-old man she met online. He picked her up, took her to a seafood restaurant, a place he used to work. They ate, laughed. Surveillance cameras caught them leaving together. After that, Sade was never seen alive again. Her mother, Sheena Scarborough, panicked when Sade didn't come home. Calls went straight to voicemail. Texts were unanswered. Friends tried to track her location, but her phone was off. Days passed. Then, a horrifying discovery. Sade's car, torched, barely recognizable, found abandoned in an empty lot. Whatever happened to her, someone wanted to erase the evidence. Investigators turned their attention to Anderson. His history sent chills through them. Domestic violence, drunk driving, multiple assaults. A man with a past soaked in red flags. A warrant was secured for his home. What they found inside was worse than they imagined. Blood streaked along the walls, soaked into the floor. And the basement, a hidden room, chains bolted to the walls, a cold, clinical space with restraints, a place meant for control. This wasn't a crime of passion. This was planned, methodical. Sade never left that house alive. The search for her body had just begun. The burning car was just the beginning. 2 days later, a severed leg was found in a Milwaukee park. A week after that, a torso washed up on the shores of Lake Michigan. Then an arm, discovered miles away on another beach. The city was in shock. The pieces were Sade's. Investigators pieced together the gruesome timeline. After their date, Maxwell Anderson took Sade to his home. There, something horrific happened. Blood splattered the walls, signs of a struggle. The basement, a twisted chamber of horror, but Sade was gone. No body, no sign of life. Then the car fire. Arson, a desperate attempt to erase evidence. And the body, dismembered, disposed of piece by piece, scattered across the city and beyond. The brutality stunned even the most hardened detectives. Anderson was arrested, charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilation of a corpse, and arson. The evidence was overwhelming. But when he faced the judge, he did the unthinkable. Not guilty. The courtroom went silent. His attorney stood beside him, calm, prepared. But Anderson, he barely flinched. No remorse, no explanation. His past crimes hinted at violence. But this was something different, something darker. Why did he do it? Was it planned? Was Sade a target or a victim of opportunity?
This new exclusive video appears to capture the moment investigators took Maxwell Anderson into custody near his home at 39th in Oklahoma, following a whirlwind investigation that started April 2nd.
Milwaukee County 911 dispatch received a call from Cudahy Police Department regarding a severed leg at Warnemont Park. Subsequently, a Milwaukee police officer who was aware of our investigation raised the possibility that the leg may be related to a missing person investigation that they were conducting.
That missing person, Sade Robinson. A criminal complaint released Friday says investigators used her cell phone records to follow her movements the night before on April 1st for what was supposed to be a first date with Anderson. After dinner and drinks, Robinson's phone was tracked to Anderson's home for 3 hours. An hour later, her phone pinged at Kern Park. And then following a drive across the city, its last trace to Warnemont Park, the same spot investigators found that severed leg. April 2nd, the Milwaukee police found Robinson's car torched near 31st and Lisbon, her clothes and phone in the trunk. 12 News has since learned footage from a city bus near that time and place captured Anderson. In the following days, police and Robinson's family searched that Walnut Hill neighborhood and found a foot and human flesh.
The search for answers had just begun. The trial loomed ahead, but one thing was certain. Justice for Sade would not come easy. And somewhere, in the vast waters of Lake Michigan, parts of her still remained unfound. Sade was gone. But her mother, Sheena Scarborough, had nothing. No place to grieve. No grave to visit, no closure. The search for her remains continued, but pieces were still missing. "We don't have all of my baby," Sheena cried. "We may never have all of her." So she fought for something. A memorial, a place where Sade could be honored. She asked the county to help fund it, a small tribute for a life taken too soon. Then came the backlash. Emails flooded officials' inboxes. Angry, hateful words. Some said taxpayer money shouldn't be spent on people like her. Others were worse, laced with racism, dripping with cruelty. County officials hesitated. Then they caved. The memorial was halted. Sheena wasn't just mourning her daughter. Now she was battling a city that refused to let her child be remembered. "It's disgusting," one county supervisor said. "This mother lost her child in the most horrific way. And people are treating her like she doesn't even deserve to grieve." The decision sent shockwaves. It wasn't just about Sade anymore. It was about who mattered, who was worthy of remembrance. But the community pushed back. Supporters raised money. Artists painted a mural in her honor. Strangers donated to help build the memorial that officials denied. Sade's life was stolen. Now, her memory was under attack. Her mother refused to let either be erased. And the fight for justice, for dignity, was far from over. Sheena Scarborough had lost her daughter in the most brutal way imaginable. But now she faced a new battle, ensuring Sade was not forgotten. The county may have abandoned the memorial, but the community refused to let the story fade. Donations poured in. A mural of Sade went up near the restaurant where she had worked. People wore pink, her favorite color, in silent protest. Meanwhile, the legal fight was just beginning. Maxwell Anderson sat in his jail cell, awaiting trial. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Sade's blood in his home, the dungeon in his basement, the arson, the body parts scattered across the city. Yet he maintained his plea, not guilty. Sheena attended every hearing, her hands clenched into fists. Each time he appeared in court, he showed no remorse, no emotion. "He took everything from me," she told reporters. "And now he thinks he can just walk away." The prosecution was determined. They painted the picture of a calculated killer, a man who lured Sade in, took her life, then tried to erase all evidence of his crime. But Anderson's defense team had their own strategy. They questioned the timeline, the motive. They suggested, without evidence, that someone else could have been involved. Doubt. That's all it took. The case dragged on. The search for Sade's remaining body parts continued. And through it all, Sheena stayed strong. She had already lost her daughter. She refused to lose justice too. The trial date loomed ahead. The city held its breath. Would the system finally bring Sade the justice she deserved? Or would her killer find a way to escape it? The verdict came. The jury had spoken. Maxwell Anderson was convicted. Sade's family sobbed in relief, but justice felt hollow. No punishment could undo what had been done. No sentence could bring her back. Outside the courtroom, support...
And I can relate to her. All she wanted was love.
Nicole Green drove an hour for Monday's Pink Out in Robinson's honor. A call put out to the community to decorate her accused killer, Maxwell Anderson's home, in her favorite color.
We're here to support and love and turn this evil into light.
According to a criminal complaint, police say Robinson first went out with Anderson on April 1st, the night she disappeared. Investigators say technology placed Robinson at Anderson's home near Oklahoma and 39th Street on Milwaukee's south side. The next day, her severed leg was found at Warnemont Park in Cudahy, and more human remains were later found scattered across the city. Gruesome discovery shocking many, including those in Anderson's neighborhood.
My son said he's seen him walking his dogs, but I never did.
Wearing their pink, this mother-daughter duo says it was on their hearts to show support.
This is just tragic, and I can't even imagine the unbearable pain that her mom must be going through. So just coming out to show support, and that our Milwaukee community loves our Milwaukee girls.
Being here to support, her mom can see that she's not alone. Everyone here is grieving with her.
A hurtful grief that even these decorations can't mask.
I have a lot of community daughters, and it could have been one of them. She was just happy to go on a date. Who expected it to end like this?
Supporters gathered. Some wore pink, Sade's favorite color. Others held signs demanding justice, not just for Sade, but for the countless others who never got their day in court. Her name became more than a headline. It became a call for change. The mural outside her old job remained, a permanent reminder of the life she lived, not just the way she died. People still left flowers. Strangers whispered her name. Her mother kept fighting. She raised awareness about missing women, about the dangers so many ignored, about how young black women like Sade often didn't get the same urgency, the same media attention, the same outrage. The city moved on. The news cycle shifted. But for those who loved her, the pain never faded. Some nights, Sheena still waited for a text that would never come, still listened for a voice she would never hear again. Sade should have been finishing college, chasing dreams. Instead, her story became a warning, a tragedy that would haunt Milwaukee forever. But her mother made sure of one thing: Sade would not be forgotten. And in the fight for justice, her name would live on. Forever.
Because I'm not about to sit down and I'm not about to sit still on this one. It's justice for Sade, Nancy. It's justice.